Welcome back. This is the Daily Brief. We're following quite a number of events, including the fact that Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya has appeared before the Senate committee probing matters of financial use in his counties and, of course, tackling a number of audit queries. This comes just a week after Lee Kinyanjui said that Senate, over the time, has been out to witch hunt governors in his own word, while he was appearing before the Senate committee probing the Solai Dam tragedy. Let me find out what my panel thinks before we cross over to the Senate once again. Karanja, I'll start with you. The accusation by Lee Kinyanjui, some did not take it lightly, others seemingly agreed with him that in its oversight mandate, Senate has been out to witch hunt governors. Do you agree?
Well, personally, actually, I don't want my governor to be cozy with my senator. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a good thing for them to be loggerheads, you know, as long as it's structured.
What county do you come from?
I come from Kiambu. Okay. Senator Amatangi is there.
Has he been keeping, you know, the governor on his toes?
Oh, yeah, I think he has,
yeah.
And they have their run-ins, and some of it has been publicized, and you are aware about it, you know, in previous times, which I think is the way to go. I mean, if you are playing oversight, you don't need to be smiley all the time. Yeah. The role of a senator is legislation, you know, lobbying for resource allocation, but yeah, it's a good thing. I don't think there should be any problem, and Lee Kinyanjui should not feel offended, or the senators should not take any flake from what they say.
Professor, last week I threw the same question to former Kiambu governor that is I just lost the name. William Kabogo. And he said that, in fact, a legislation should be put in place that senators, once you vie for Senate, then you should not declare your interest to vie for governorship, because he says this kind of interest is what has made some senators be out to be on a witch hunt for their governors. What do you think?
I think the Senate should be abolished. It's of no use. Waste of public funds. We should only remain with Parliament. Because what we have seen from the first Senate, we have seen senators fighting governors for purposes of them taking over offices. So that kind of competition is not very healthy. And probably I would agree with Lee Kinyanjui in a way, or not, though I may not have known the content, and I don't know under which perspective he came about to claim that. But some of these senators
might actually guide you.
Say?
I'm saying previous examples might actually guide
you. Yes. Because some of these senators are just witch-hunting governors because of the issue of finance, and they've realized that they went into a wrong docket. When they realized that there was no money, they started going around, and they have seen
When you say Senate should be abolished, it plays, other than oversight, an important role when it comes to, as part of a conveyor belt in the impeachment process, for instance, of the president.
Well, the thing is, it will never work here. And if it will work, God have flies come in with the spiritual soul. Kenya is a very small country, the size of Texas. Texas has just one governor. It has got the Senate. It has got everything in one. Yeah. But Kenya has got 47 governors, as small as, given the fact that it's smaller than Texas. Why would we have the Senate when we have the Parliament, which has got over 200 and something MPs, then we have MCAs, then we have... This is waste of taxpayers' money, and I believe that Kenyans have reached to a point whereby they will go back to the Constitution and interrogate the Constitution and abolish that Senate altogether.
It's as though you're reading from the same script of Third Way Alliance, who are pushing for Punguza Mzigo agenda, addressing the wage bill. So I can preempt Frederick's take on that.
We read... Actually, I want to differ slightly with the Prof, because our stand... Let me get back to...
the witch hunt.
The witch hunt first. I don't think there is any witch hunt in oversight. A lot of times when you are put to task to explain certain expenditure coming from a report, an explained expenditure, especially coming from a report from the Auditor General, then those frictions are likely to be there. And I think that is just a way of working. But also we know of senators who have got ambitions to occupy those positions in the coming election. There are senators who have declared interest in running as governors because they believe that they will be the head of, of those counties, and it comes with a lot of power. So a lot of times you realize the senator, the sitting senator and the sitting governor don't see eye to eye because of that oversight role and other. But I want to believe that if we were to ensure that we strengthen devolution as a country, then we have to revisit our constitution and strengthen Senate so that Senate can have veto powers. That is what we have been putting out there. Where we need to work more on is we need to lower the number of members of parliament. Comparatively, we are overrepresented. We are a country of 45 million and represented by people of the number 416. You have not gone to the counties. The devolved units, majority of Kenyans are at the devolved units. They are at the county. We have seen what devolution has done. I want to believe that the governors should be supported. However, they should also be called to place when they misappropriate funds, especially when a report like Auditor General comes out, because that role belongs to the Senate.
And the question here, Frederick, what about the role of the members of county assembly, if then we also have the Senate?
The members of county assembly, what we have been saying is, why don't we have a ward development fund that we can take now hospitals to the ward, schools to the ward, roads to the ward, so that we totally support devolution. But look at it, Ian. Today, we have got constituencies that have not met the threshold. You remember IBC have been vocal saying we are going to scrap them off. I think they're around 26. And there's been a political heat. You know, we'll defend it, while constitutionally they've not met the threshold. So, again, we are spending more money. Look at the budget estimate for the 2018-2019. Over 38.6 billion going into just maintaining parliament. That means every member of parliament is maintained at the cost of 10 million per month. That is money that would be used to do something else. In our Punguza Mizigo proposal, which is, again, it's a proposal, we've been pushing it, and I'm sure there have been a lot of proposal out there, but we're saying, if today we cap the cost of running this parliament alone at 5 billion, and ensure that we lower the number, we scrap the 290 constituencies and work with already defined 47 counties as constituencies, where each constituency elect one man, one woman.
Yeah.
It means a bigger constituency like a county will be represented by 2 members of parliament.
Yeah.
We will only have 194 members of parliament. We shall have saved this country over 30 billion that we can now take to the devolved units so that we can empower devolution and then make Senate a upper house with veto powers. Then they can check on whatever is happening.
I'll give you under 30 seconds maybe to react to that kind of proposal. And of course, the thought that perhaps we do not need the Senate.
Well, one thing, that one I can answer straight up.
Yes.
I am with the professor. We don't need the Senate. That one I can tell you. But then I don't agree with my former governor on scrapping of
changing the legislation.
Yes. No, on saying that senators should be capped, that they don't have aspirations to be governors. I mean, this is ambition, and everybody has ambition. You know, there are governors who want to be president anyway, and MCAs who want to be. But thirdly, let's agree. What is the role of a member of parliament? It's national legislation. So it's got nothing to do with representation. So reduce the number of members of parliament. I think we even should have more MCAs at that level.
Okay.
It's national legislation.
Subject to debate, definitely. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now, we're following quite a number of events, including the fact that Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya has appeared before the Senate Finance Committee, probing how he has been spending money at his county. We're also looking at the Lands Committee, which is investigating the Tatu City land saga, which will also be crossing over there in a bit. But first, we start. Actually, I'm meant to understand we're starting with Tatu City, listening into the Lands Committee as it probes the development of Tatu City. Let's listen in.
Which is from page 141. We, even after repeated advisories from the Attorney General's office to restore the caveats, the Ministry of Lands personnel have refused to do that. So, to put it in your words, we have been frustrated in that process and cannot move any further. My relationship with the petitioners.
Where the letter from the AG, can you please table? We have somebody who can assist with the tabling.
It's correspondence. It's an annexure.
Annex number?
Annexure from number, page 140, annex ST. ST. That entire bundle reflects the correspondence from the AG's office, from the very first letter to the last. and the repeated rebuttals or refusal by the Ministry of Lands officials to restore the caveats. I'll quickly move on to my relationship with the vendors. As I highlighted, there was a private placement through which the locals would buy into the companies from the very onset. We invited them when they came to us, and we promised to carry them all the way. When the Suntra private placement was cancelled, as I mentioned, it was cancelled for one simple reason. The investors who came in and led by Vimal Shah, then Renaissance not even come into the picture, said they're not comfortable dealing with thousands of wananchi. So they said, refund the money, then we'll participate in the buyout, which is what we did, and we cancelled the private placement. However, I went back to the petitioners after some of them refused to, so to speak, take back their refunds. They brought the money back to me and told me, no, you have to take this money, you have to give us the land that you promised us, or you promised to let us participate in. I told them, or we agreed, that whatever vehicle we end up owning our shares directly as Rosemary and I would give them shares. So to date, I'll bring your attention to Annex A, the structure chart of the companies. And you'll see on the left there, that's Annex A. Black Knight Holding. A, page 1.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Black Knight Holdings Limited is owned by Rosemary Njau Mwagiru, Steve Mwagiru, Etienne Delba, and Nahash Onyaga. These petitioners now own their shares directly from myself and Rosemary via a deed of confirmation from Black Knight Holdings Limited. That deed confirms that we indeed hold those shares on their behalf, and they shall be transferred in due course.
Are you able to table the deed?
The original is with Winnie. I believe it's with her lawyers, if I'm not wrong, but
Is Winnie here?
she's right here.
Oh, Winnie is here today.
Yes, yes.
So what is the percentage of ownership?
Over time, given the repeated cash calls that have been put in even to help us in all the court cases that have been going on all over the world, from Mauritius to London and here locally, they now own, out of my mom's shares and I, they own 90% of them.
Can we have that document?
Yes, Winnie.
Well, how many days do we give you?
She says 2 days.
So then, honorable members, will have this deed document and confirmation of ownership to be sent to the House in 2 working days.
Thank you.
That's a good intervention.
I beg your pardon.
The petitioner's share holding 90% of what?
Of my personal shares and Rosemary's personal shares, not of Black Knight. Of my personal shares and of Rosemary's personal shares.
Of the company or of the land?
Of our shares. The shares that are reflect Black Knight Holdings Limited, on page 1 of the annexures, A, we own the majority of that. My mom and I, together with Etienne, they own 90% of our shares. Yes.
Is it of Black Knight?
Of Black Knight. No, not of the entire Black Knight, because Nyaga is also a member. They do not own Nyaga's shares.
You said 90%.
Of our
Of
shares.
your shares.
Hypothetically, if we...
How much are your shares?
At the moment, together
Black
with Etienne,
Knight.
over 90%. We own 92% of Black Knight. The share register is here. And they in turn own 90% of our shares. So they more or less own 81% of Black Knight, indirectly.
Are they aware?
Yes, they are because of the deed of confirmation.
Well, I would like to note that that document is not before us, but also note that it will be brought in 2 working days. So that is in order.
Thank you. I think the last question, if I'm not wrong, is the one
Well,
on the...
also looking at this document, it's really, I was saying that this is one of the most difficult petitions that this committee is facing, because it's a whole chart.
Can I take you through it quickly?
All the way. No, I do not want you to lose the
Okay.
to lose the questions that were asked, because they're extremely important.
Okay.
But one wonders why people have to go through this. Maybe that is one of the, I think that is one of the issues that you need to tell us. Why do people have to be taken through all this confusion? Are you the cause, or it is somebody else? What was the motivation behind what we see here?
I've highlighted earlier, just to answer your question.
And now when it goes down, Mauritius, Cyprus, Bermuda, and all these places, does black night still exist? And is anybody safe? Because for your information,
Yes.
the petitioners were lost in courts.
Okay, let me explain it quickly. As I explained in my affidavit, the reason for registering CEDA 4 is so that we could pledge those shares as collateral to whoever financed the group. Once we were in Mauritius, at CEDA 4 level, it became rather tedious and difficult for the next vehicle that we were to co-own between the Shahs and ourselves to be brought back into Kenya. That's why we got yet another vehicle to register, to own our shares between Black Knight Holding and Redline. And then further up the chain, Black Knight now is divided into its own ultimate beneficial shareholders. Are we?
No, will you just continue when you consult it?
Okay. I'll be available to come back anytime and clarify that, with your permission.
We have
Finally,
only 60 days, so we would like to finish.
I can,
so
yeah.
you will say or whatever you would like to say today.
Or can I make you a brief statement on just on the company structure? And
I would
present
like you to focus on the questions, because
Okay.
we are going to lose. What you have just told the committee is that you are comfortable with this
Yes, we are.
and you fully understand it.
I fully understand it.
Madam Chair, I remember the question that I raised last week to the petitioners, and they had very difficult time explaining
Yes.
about Mauritius.
Yes.
Because anytime these companies which are registered overseas, Mauritius, Swiss, it rings a bell in Kenyans' mind that it is a conduit to swindle locals. And you know the discussion that we had is that these are people who are very vulnerable. So then people registering companies overseas could be a way of just taking money from ordinary people who have no capacity to raise the money. Now, the very simple question, you have tried to understand, to explain to us.
Yes.
Because the same complaint that you are having against somebody called Jennings, having diluted the shares overseas, because he also did open companies in Mauritius. And of course there is another allegation that the shares of this land is being sold in Mauritius. Then it raises more questions than answers, and 2 wrongs cannot make a right. Now, can you shed light on these companies that were open in Mauritius? Why Mauritius? Why not locally? And then of course 2, in repatriation of the money, does the money land into some account locally and then it is repatriated into Mauritius? You know, those are the issues that we want to understand. Because you are being accused by the local shareholders whom they have anchored their investment on you. And here also you are accusing Rendever, or in essence, Janice Jennings, on the same issue of having repatriated the money to an overseas account or somewhere in Mauritius. So can you shed light on this issue? Why these companies and how do they operate? And are Kenyans transaction.
Madam Chair, I'll split the answer into two, please, with your permission. First, I'll address the companies and whether we are safe. That is exactly what I've highlighted in paragraph 63 on page 12 of my affidavit, where I've said that our investment, and indeed and by extension the local shareholders' investment, is now at risk because of these purported dilutions that have been done at the behest and instructions of Mr. Jennings illegally in Mauritius. So we are indeed at risk. The second question you asked was about why Mauritius. I explained earlier that we went to Mauritius because Kenyan company law then barred the company from using the shares of the company it is buying as collateral when borrowing money. The financiers, international financiers, therefore advised us, form a holding company in Mauritius that we will lend money to, that will be brought into Kenya, and then we can secure our money using those shares of that company. That is how we ended up in Mauritius. But as you said, it is indeed happening. The theft is indeed happening. The second one on stamp duty.
Okay, I would like to give an...
Thank you. A very brief one.
They'll be responded to.
Yeah.
But he has a very important question, which I think is important.
Initially, you talked of 11,600 acres.
That is cough enough.
Then you also talked of a caveat being removed.
Yes.
And you also talked of the land being sold to date.
Yes.
Are we talking of remaining land or the land is sold?
That 11,600 is the original acreage.
How much is remaining as we are seated here? Do you have an idea?
To be very honest, only Jennings knows now because he decides what is left and what is not left. But at the last meeting we had, he mentioned something to do with about 8,000 acres of Kofinaf and 2,400 acres of Tatu City. We have been having negotiations, but he's always trying to milk us.
Is there any money banked in the...
I do not know about the banking, but it goes to the question that Mheshimiwa had asked about how money is moved. I do know that once the conveyancing money is paid into the lawyer's account, Jennings orders for the money to be repatriated to his personal accounts in Cyprus immediately. And I am aware that shillings 3.8 billion was frozen that he was trying to repatriate after the sale of some land. It was frozen by the DCI, and I believe the best place to come and answer that question.
I would like to allow Honorable Mulele, let him respond. I'll give you a chance. Continue.
To address the stamp duty issue, when we did the searches that I mentioned to establish that the caveats had been removed, we noticed some irregular entries into the titles vis-a-vis the value of land that they used to transfer the properties. Properties that were worth over 1 billion shillings were being transferred for 200 million shillings to evade stamp duty and income tax. I've got a folder here which I would like to table, Madam Chair, for you and the honorable members, which I would like to take you through quickly. It's got a summary of all the stamp duty that's due or has been stolen. And as well, I will show you quickly the entries which raised a red flag.
Are those copies which you would like to be circulated?
Yes, please.
Okay. As the copies are being circulated, do you still have shares in Tatu City Limited and Kofinaf Company Limited?
As per the CR12 local, we have one share each. As I explained earlier, 99.99% of those shares are overseas. We still have shares. Black Knight, MCI still controls, according to Jennings, 14.5% because that is by the time we stopped his dilutions. It was
that is according to you?
Yes, we do. It is 50-50. As of the date of ruling, when we were asked to be ordered to be bought out, the shareholding was 50-50. And that is what we stand by. And that is what I advise the petitioners.
As of today?
Is at 14.5, apparently. Purportedly.
Apparently.
No, it has all been done illegally by a Jennings control board. But that is a matter that is ongoing in Mauritius courts. Can I quickly take you through the summary of stamp duty?
You asked that question, Honorable Mulele, about taxes, or you did not? Even if you did not touch, this committee touched on taxes, and it is of interest to us. not just as members of Lands Committee, but as representatives of Kenyans. This to us is a matter of interest about taxes. So it is important. Let him respond. Then now we can go to your questions. Yes.
Yeah, the first page of the folder I've just given you is a summary of the stamp duty and income tax laws by the occasion to on the government of Kenya by the transactions of the companies. The valuation declared is the valuation declared on the stamp duty Form A's and entered into the title deeds, which I will show you shortly. The actual value is the actual value of that the land was sold at, and it is captured in the first annexure, the green one, after the red folder. Supplementary affidavit by Mr. Nyaga, page 7, or rather page 8 of the bundle. At the bottom there is a table created by Mr. Nyaga showing the actual selling prices of all the parcels of land.
Is it a valuation or it's Mr. Nyaga?
Nyaga was the chairman of the group, so these prices are coming from the sale and purchase agreements.
Well, what you're asking is this a valuation or it is an individual's opinion?
It's the actual selling price from the sale and purchase agreements of the land.
Okay, which you have access to?
Which Mr. Nyaga has access to and gave these prices. And this was also confirmed by the companies in response, in their responding affidavit. So that's the actual value of land or how much it was sold at. The valuation declared is the amount that they declared so as to, if I may use the word, swindle the government of stamp duty and income tax. I'll give you a first example. The folder after the green separator, quickly, that is title number 10877. I'll take you to the last page of that document, or second to last.
Yes.
Or the last.
Swindling, perhaps, that he has, that he would this committee.
Well, Honorable Member, I would like to request him to proceed because I believe that what he's giving us now could be an indication. Though we are uncomfortable when you tell us about a person's opinion, you are not giving us the agreements because you need to dig deeper and tell us these are the agreements, it was sold for this much. But when you give us an opinion, then you start arguing from a very weak position.
Madam Chair, what I did is provide you with a summary. I'm sure I will provide you with the sale and purchase agreements.
Do you have anything to support this?
I do. I have sale and purchase agreements, but I thought...
When can you table that?
I can table it in 24 hours.
Well, we still give you 2 days like we did with the other.
Okay.
We can actually give you 7 days.
Okay.
7 days.
It's okay, Madam. I will table it. Okay. If I take you quickly to page 20.
And everything that you undertake to bring,
yes,
it's very serious.
It is indeed.
So if you do not have, you better not say that you are going to table.
That's why it's 2 documents.
You do not have.
That's why it's 2 documents.
Okay.
Yeah. So page 20. Entry number 8 over there on the title deed, it says transfer to Dexamico Properties Limited at 235 million. If you go back to the front page, that is parcel number 10877. Valuation declared is 235 million. If you go back to Mr. Nyaga's affidavit, which was confirmed by the companies, and I'll bring the company's confirmation of the selling prices on page 8. 10877, which is item C, there's a mistake, there's a typo there, it's listed as 10887, was actually sold for 842,400,000. The stamp duty declared was 235,000, or rather the amount for stamp duty purposes declared was 235 million, sorry. The next document, title number 11387, 287 rather, the last page, entry number 9 in the title. This is after the removal of caveats. It was transferred to Green Seal Properties for 330 million. If we go back to the summary page on page 11287, declared valuation was 330 million. The actual value that the companies got was 1.3 billion. The differential is 975 million. The stamp duty loss to the government is over 38 million shillings. This goes on and on. The next document, if I may take you through it, 11428, which is the one, a red folder once again. The last page. Entry number 5, transfer to Zifas Properties Limited for Kenya shillings 219,124,960. That is 219 million is the valuation declared.
Well, can we just say that it is as indicated?
As indicated,
yeah,
yes.
so that you don't have to go through.
I don't have to give you further examples. I rest my
You're
case.
just reading what is,
Yes.
because of time.
I can't let you this
Madam
document.
Chair, so for purposes,
Yes.
because, Stephen,
Yes.
you know, these allegations are very serious.
Yes, sir.
Allegations are very serious.
Yes, sir.
Because the report that is being tabled here
Yes.
is that Kenyan government has lost 1.3 billion 890 1.3 billion evasion
On tax only, not without stamp duty. Stamp duties are further nearly 200 million.
now.
Yes.
Tax laws that the government had in this transaction
Yes.
by people being too clever
Yes.
is 1.3 billion.
Actually, about 1.6 if you add.
And then
Yeah.
the stamp duty,
Yes.
Ministry of,
Yes.
that is the government has lost,
Yes.
is 1.8, is 185 million.
Yes.
Is that what you want to tell the committee?
Yes, that's what I'm telling the committee, and I would like to highlight that this is just for coffin of lands.
Yes.
There is more if you dig into the transactions of how Tatu City land is sold. It
Okay.
is sold using the same arrangements.
Right.
Madam Chair, this is not the way to.
No, honorable member, I think I'm a very good listener. And we have agreed that he brings these documents in 7 days. At the same time, he has a right, and even members of this committee have a right to read documents and, read through the documents aloud. They are allowed. Honorable member, you know, we may not have as much information as you have. And for that reason, maybe we are at different levels. Allow us to understand this matter step by step. Don't take us to the top when we are still at the middle of the hill.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, so give us time to understand. And we have said that we take this as it is, but we need evidence. So in 7 days, you are going to give us evidence.
I shall provide that
And
evidence.
as the honorable member has said, Honorable Kutuni, is that these are serious allegations, and we would like you to table in 7 days the evidence that you have.
I shall.
Because it looks like you do not even have access to the accounts.
I have.
So you may not even know what goes in and what goes out, which puts Kenyans in a situation where I think they are also at a loss because they are relying on you, and it looks like you are already being pushed. You are not there anymore.
I was excluded from 2010 from the affairs of the company. Ngamia ilipofika ikanitupa nje ya hema.
You know, this is a very serious conversation that we are having.
Yes.
And I would like to tell you that you must use parliamentary language.
I beg your pardon.
Well, please proceed as per the questions.
Um,
And I would like to order that we don't ask any other questions until he responds to the questions that have been raised.
I think I'll now answer the questions of the friend of the committee. If I've answered all your questions adequately, honorable members.
Let's go the answer these questions.
Yeah, stamp duty, we've addressed that. That was his first question. What was paid, we've addressed that. Who placed the caveats? That is explained in para. The caveats and everything that is to be said about them is explained in para 53 to 55. ruling in the winding up petitions is captured in 56, para 56 to 58. And further to that, the ruling is annexed, added as Annex TV. So I think all the questions he asked, all the information rather pertaining to that or answering that is in the bundle.
No, you cannot do that.
Okay.
Just what you do, you
Yes.
just go through the question, answer. And you don't even have to answer all questions. You can say that
He asked who placed the caveats.
you are not going to respond to this, and that will be fair enough.
He asked who placed the caveats. 53, the first sentence, I said my mother and my siblings placed the caveats. The next question, why? It's in sentence 2. To protect some of the assets of the
say
companies.
the name of your mother. You know, when you say,
Rosemary.
you have said many times, my mother and I, my mother and I. You know,
Yes.
your mother is a person.
I introduced her.
And this committee, we do not know your mother.
Rosemary Mogiru, Mrs.
Yeah, that's...
Rosemary and my siblings placed the caveats to protect some of the assets of the companies from any improper sale pending the resolution of the dispute. That is why.
Happening right now is the Committee on Lands grilling in regards to the Tatu City land tussle. We shall keep you up to speed on that. But, you know, it brings about the larger conversation that we have been having in regards to, one, the Mau Forest. We've also been talking about, in brief, the Ruaraka land saga as well. And, gentlemen, definitely we do remember that the question was, how then do we protect public land? And Tatu City is one of the projects aimed at part of, you know, the Vision 2030, a great project. I'll start with you, Frederick. I go to Professor, and then I finish with Karanja.
Thank you, Ian. Just from listening to that committee, you do realize that there's a lot of disorganization, there's a lot of hearsay, there's a lot of things that do not make sense, and then there's a lot of documentation that are not up to date that will prolong and doesn't really help the common man. Now, recently the president put a freeze, or rather frozen the projects, that any other new projects. And we want to believe that with that, some of these projects that have been lying idle will now take shape, because by freezing what is new, you must now ask the Parliament under the what is called Public Management Act, Public Finance Management Act, to Treasury to do a supplementary budget for approval by the Parliament, so that they can now transfer that money that has been allocated to some of these projects so that they can take off. Number two, land in this country is a motive, I'll repeat. And some of the issues that revolve around corruption are land related.
Yeah.
So the best thing that can happen to this country is if we respect the rule of law and the institutions that have been put in place. I am very happy with the effort that is being done by the investigative team on EPP. They're doing a fantastic job. And the Kenyan people must now support them. President Kenyatta has come out strongly to say that the war on corruption must be fought tooth and nail. We support you, Mr. President. But the people within his government that still think that this war is a joke, then the Kenyan people are behind the president and will support that.
Okay, Professor.
I think this constitution, in my opinion, is the worst constitution in the world. Because why would we be having Parliament talking and engaging into public taxpayers' money when this issue could be resolved by Mr. Kinoti in a day or two? Mm-hmm. Is this issue not before the courts of law? Why is it now being again debated by some kind of mediocrity? It's like somebody's being asked questions which are leading nowhere. The member of parliament, the member of parliament who is asking questions, she's like she has all the miniature without any kind of foundation. This should be taken to Kinoti. Okay. And then the constitution should be reviewed so that some of these matters can be resolved. Why should Parliament be engaged into doing the same thing which is in the courthouse and under investigation?
Karanja, you have a final word this afternoon.
Yeah, I think this issue of land and acquisitions of land, I think I agree that there are just too many investigations with too many players, and we might actually spoil the broth. The Roraka land case, I think that to me is the big thing, and I'm sure that there are some people who are having very sleepless nights. Going by Amina's submission yesterday, things are going to be very, very, very hot. So I'm actually looking forward to that kind of thing. But on the lifestyle, the lifestyle audit, that because this goes to where all this money goes.
Yeah.
The lifestyle audit. It's tricky because even if you do a lifestyle audit, you may make administrative decisions. I don't know how that will be anchored into the criminal process, So you do a lifestyle audit, you get to know how much money I owe, unless now you push it into Kenoti for investigations. There's not much that you can do about other than making an administrative decision. I think that's where the Waterloo of the lifestyle audit is. So let's wait and see what Roraka brings that.
Thank you very much. Karanja Teriki joins us as our governance, political and current affairs analyst. We also have Third Way Alliance Secretary General Frederick Okango, as well as Professor George Ojakoya. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for always making time for us. And that brings us to a close of this live broadcast. I shall be seeing you at the top of the hour during K24 Newscast to bring you other developing stories and making headlines as at that time. Our sign language interpreter for the second half of this live broadcast has been Walter Sewe, and my name is Wafula. Up next is Inside Business with Tony Timase.